All right, we're on PowerPoint now, which is where we'll finish out with. We got 3 weeks left, plus the time for the final or the beginning of the next week. So you're down to the end. Where some of the others have disappeared to, I don't know. So, in PowerPoint, it's going to work similar to what you've done on the others. So I think y'all are going to find PowerPoint pretty easy on it, working with it. Most of it's going to be real similar to what you've already done, so that your ribbon looks the same as what you were used to. Right. Can you close that window slightly? Because you're right there on the control. That should help the screen a little bit. So that we can see a little bit better up there, although I keep catching glare off the projector on. So your ribbon is similar to what you had, and the rest of it's somewhat similar. So you've got a number of different type pages you can have laid out there. The first page it gives you by default is going to be a title page, which has got a title section and a subtitle section to it. If we go to layout, it'll actually show us a number of other ones we can do. We can set a blank page here. We can put one that's got title and content. It likes to always put a title at the top of the page. So there's a number of different ones you can do there. I actually use that one that's title only quite often for stuff I'm doing, and that I just put it in the title area and expand it out to fit what I want it to do. So that's the one I usually do. The blank one doesn't give you any spot right off for you to insert stuff on, so you have to be careful on that one. All right, now let me shrink this down. Let's see if I can see this other. So creating it is just going to a blank one. Opening it is just going to file open, just like we did in our other programs. So those are going to work the same, and then saving it's going to work the same, except you got some different choices when you do your save. So if I do a save as right here, and wherever I'm going to save it to, so I'll just browse. I'm going to go to documents on this machine, although I'm really not going to save. If I come down here to save as type, we've got a different list here than we had before. So we've got PowerPoint presentations as its default, which is going to save it as a PPTX extension, which does it in the XML portion of it. So that's the newer version. You've got the 97 to 2003 choice there, just like you had in Word and Excel, which does it as .ppt. The .pptx one is going to be a smaller file than the .ppt, but if they're using an older version of PowerPoint still, you'll need to save it in that one. You could save it in PDF format, and it'll put each of the screens on a separate page. I see that one used quite often. Templates, not really much of. You could save it as a PowerPoint show, and that one is not where it is an uneditable file that you get, and they can just run it in a viewer or in PowerPoint, in the PowerPoint viewer or in PowerPoint. But they can't edit what you send to them. So if you're wanting to make sure they don't edit on it, they could, because they could get back open and later. It'll take some more work. A few of these I'm not sure what they do. These add-ins I'm not sure on. The MPEG 4 video, what it does is saves it as a video file. And so whatever timings you've put in there, it's going to automatically do, and it doesn't require anything of PowerPoint to run it. That's a video file, and so it runs as a video file for them. Still a PowerPoint thing, but it's not really. It's now a video. So you could do that one, or you could save it as a Windows Media video, which is another type of video file. Those are two common types out there. The MPEG-4 is the more common. You could save it in the JPEG for purposes of seeing a web page, etc. So you can save it several picture formats. The Open document goes back to Open Office, or it gets it in their format, although Open Office will actually work with a PowerPoint file, so you really don't have to do that one. But that's the major ones of those. All right, arranging slides. So let me cancel that. If we got multiple slides, so we'll go ahead and create a couple of slides here. This one I have put my name in for some reason. Just have something in here so we can tell the slides apart. If they end up here in a different order than what you want, all you gotta do is drag them around in the order. So we can take that second slide, click on it, and drag it, and put it up there at the top. So if you want to rearrange the slides, you can real easily just drag them back and forth around in there. Of course, occasionally that gets in your way on you because you accidentally click on one and drag it without meaning to drag, so just be aware of that. So rearranging them, no problem. Adding text, just go into one of the text boxes and then you'll start typing it. Now, if it's a title line, the title box is going to do it at a bigger type. If it's the subtitle box, which is what this one is, this is a smaller font, although you can change it around which fits in there. And then the content box, if we had the content box up here, does it smaller. The title box, it just types it straight in. In the content box or the subtitle box, it will do it in list format. So it will actually put periods in front of stuff for us on there. So if I start typing something here, notice that it's in a list format. Does everybody follow on that? Now, y'all can take it out of list format anytime you want, just by highlighting the material, and come up here to the top where the list button is, which looks like the one in Word, and we can click it and get rid of it being in list format. I use that one every week with my church PowerPoints because the organist sends me the songs for the early service where she's put them into PowerPoint, and it does them in list right there, so all of each of the lines, not each verse is on a separate screen, and then each of the lines has that little dot in the front of it. I go through and remove the dots on it, and then the other thing is I sit there and increase the font from whatever she's got to at least 40, unless she's got it already 40. Because you want to get, the other thing to be careful of in here is when you're doing it as an actual presentation is make sure it's big enough that when it's up on the screen, people can read it. So what you can read sitting there on the screen may not be big enough up on the screen in front of a group. And we can be a little bit smaller here in this room because y'all are fairly close, but like sanctuary at the church, it's a distance back, and if you put it in a smaller font, they're not going to be able to read it. When I was at the conference there in the beginning of last month up there in North Carolina, there were several presentations that several of us were commenting afterwards. We couldn't read what they had up on it, and we were in rooms this size because they had the font so small on it. There was someplace else I was at that had, it was at the school meeting that they had it at the school meeting that they had in the big auditorium down there at Gordon, and that we were sitting out there, and they had small print up there, and none of us knew what in the world it said in the print up on the screen. We could tell there was print there, but we're going, we don't know what it is. Or when I went to Six Sigma training the other month down there, the guy that did it had 10-point type sitting up on here. And if we change that to 10-point type, and then we go to show the show, and down here at the bottom, there's a couple of different choices you can do. The one that's got the screen sitting up on the point will actually run your show for you. So it'll put it in full size for us. And who knows what that warning is about. But notice what I just put in 10-point type. Can y'all read it on the back row? Those H's and J's? Not very well, right? So make sure you do be a big enough font on it that people can read. Because there's some people have the attitude of, well, if they can read it on the screen as they're developing this, and to get back out of the being in the show format like we're in right now, all I do is hit the escape button and it'll stop the show. If I clicked on the mouse, it would advance screen by screen. Okay? So when you do stuff, do make sure you make it big enough fonts for them. And that actually in my case over at the church, that the organist likes me sending it to me because she puts it, she's not a computer person, and that I clean the stuff up nicely and make it work real nicely. Because I showed up at church one Sunday morning early for that early service, which where they're using that to run it, and went to running it and went, oh yuck, with what she had given me. People are having a hard time reading this stuff. And then bear in mind also that depending on ages of people, how well they read also. Although some younger people have a hard time seeing also, but as people tend to get older, two things are going to go on. One, they're not going to hear as well. So if you're running a sound system like I'm running there at church also, you need to make it a little bit louder where it sounds a little loud to all of us in here to make sure that the others can hear. And then getting them type big enough because eyesight goes on them. And yeah, they got glasses, but glasses, as I can tell you, as I'm standing here wearing them, and I guess one of you is wearing glasses. Some of you may be wearing contacts in here too. That corrective lenses, be it contacts or glasses, don't do quite as well on seeing up there because you get glare, etc. And so the bigger you can make it, the better it will work. And if you can turn the volume up a little bit, you don't want to blast the people out, or the same ones you're trying to get where they can hear will get upset on that. But if you get it turned down up a little bit, then I go, if it seems a little fraction loud to me, I get more comments after church services of, we could hear today. But then the other part is I also get the part of, after I start doing that, I got comments back, and that the organist, she passed along to me comments of people saying they could read the words better on the screen as opposed to others. When I put the scripture up there, I put it up there. If the preacher sends me what the verses are and I put the scripture up there, I'm doing the same thing. If the preacher puts it together in their own PowerPoint, they'll make it into small print and try to put the whole thing on one screen. And I'm going, it doesn't do any good because nobody can read it except for the people sitting on the front row. Split it into several screens and make it a bigger print. So as you do PowerPoint stuff, keep that in mind. Word and Excel, you didn't have to worry about that. All you had to do was get the print where you could actually read it and anyone else should be able to read it. Okay? But PowerPoint, you need to think about the user on it. And now that I've told you all of that, every time y'all watch a PowerPoint now, you're going to start noticing that they didn't do a real good job in a lot of cases of doing their PowerPoint. That stuff's too small for people to read, or you're sitting there going, well, I can read it, but I'll bet some others are having problems because I got to look twice to see it. So like I say, when I went to Six Sigma training, he would fill in. He gave us the PowerPoint printed, but without all the information in it. So he had blanks in it, so you had to fill in the blank. Well, he'd put the answers, put the PowerPoint on the screen that had all the information in it, and then trying to read to see what it was filled in all those blanks. I couldn't get it on a number of screens because it was just too small on it. Themes will give you the ability to change how things are, and if we, I think it's on the format. Let's see. Where is themes? I'm trying to remember where themes are. Should be here on. I don't use themes much, so that's where I'm lost right now. I know it's not there. No, it's not there. No, it's not there. Slideshow just gives you the way to.
Themes give you the ability to do what?
There's our themes.
Themes give you the ability to do what?
Themes will let you have the whole document laid out in the whole PowerPoint presentation laid out in a certain format. And so you can get it prettied up instead of being real plain. I'm tending to often run real plain ones. But you could choose a theme and it will then have some colors or whatever. So if I chose this theme, oops, notice it just changed the whole thing to this dark background, white, changed the font color to white instead of the black. And it's got this nice little color up there so you can have the stuff look professional, okay? In my case, where I'm putting it up on the screen there in church, which is the main place I'm using PowerPoint currently, I'm wanting to stay to a plain screen, usually. Although she's got a lot of times backgrounds in them. And then I'm putting the songs up there for the regular service from the hymnal. I actually am putting it with themes sometimes now to put a picture behind the background of it. But there's a number of built-in themes for you. So you can choose something and go, I like how this one looks. And it will actually change on some of them according to the type of file. So that would be one that I'd probably use right there, similar to that. And so you can set them up to where it's got something else, some coloring and different things, and how the stuff is set up on the pages automatically for you. So themes are there. So that's what themes are going to do for you. Headers and footers we can also insert. Although that's not done very much. Obviously they think you should know that one. It should be on this page. Header and footer. So if we go to the insert ribbon and then we choose header or footer, we can put in there about headers and footers we want on the pages, and it's going to put it outside of those boxes for us. So we could have it show the date and time on the slide down there at the bottom so that we know when this thing was, and if I hit apply, notice it's now just inserted the date and time down on the bottom. That's really not for the participants out there so much seeing, but when you go to pull up the show, that you'll know, is this my latest show or the one that I had designed for this date or whatever that developed it for this date, or that you put your copyright on the bottom there saying it's copyrighted by Haley or whatever. Okay? So it's in little print, but it's really not designed for the user out there to really be seeing so much as if they see a print copy or they get a copy of it to show to somebody else. That's got on there. So like when I showed y'all the PowerPoint last week from the guy about the word exam, he might have wanted to have stuck a footer on there that said it was copyrighted by him in 2017. care about that, but he could have, and that you'll see that quite often on that. Or if it was one we were doing for GNTC as part of my job here, I might well put down at the bottom the school's name across the bottom there in a footer. Header is just going to put it up here at the top on it, so you can put it as header or footer, but notice it's not impacting the rest of the show at all on it. So probably, again, something you're not going to use a whole lot with. Inserting pictures from files. All you're going to do is go to the insert ribbon and click pictures. And then you'll find your picture on your machine. And we'll see if there's anything on this machine. I doubt if there was anything right there. May or may not be any picture. But your picture would show up down there just like we've seen before, and then you just insert it in, and you can move it around just like you could do before, because it's got its little handles on it. You can enlarge it, shrink it, etc. once it got in here. So you can play with it just like you learned in Word, and exit Word to play with it. You've got all that capability. And notice that was the same as we did it in Word. Okay. Transitions. That's a fun one for you. As you go from slide to slide, if you don't do transitions, it just clicks to the next slide. It's bam, bam, bam. Okay? So instead of going bam, 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 you want it to sort of do some creative effect as it changes from slide to slide. So let's put something on slide number 2. Welcome to class. In our special language of our welcome that we use. So now we've got a couple of slides here. So I can go to here to the first slide, but I can tell it, all right, I want to do transitions. There's a number of these here. Cut is what is going to be where it's just going to go right from one to the other. So if I do cut, and then let's see the show so we can see what happens. It's just changing one right after another. If I do fade, we'll do the show again. Now, watch what happens as we go from slide to slide. Well, it didn't do anything. Duh. So now let's do with the random bars. Some of them don't do as much to them sometimes. So now if I go, oh, I only put it on the first slide. That's why it's not doing anything for us. You've got to apply it to all the slides. Duh. So now if we go back to fade, I've chose all the slides and I chose because I just had it on the first slide. And if you noticed, it did it coming into the first slide, but it didn't do it after that. So now I've chosen it for all the slides and applied fade to them all. So now if I do the show, you see where that faded in and out? The next one was coming in as the previous one was leaving, so that you saw for a little bit there, both of them, but they were adjusting on how bright they were on it. And so if I do this next one, which is a blank slide, we'll see welcome slowly went out and nothing came in. Does everybody see that? That's what transitions do for you. There's a number of transitions here for you. So cut would do it sharper. Push says bring it in from the bottom. Okay. Wipe says send it across. Split says bring it in from the middle, moving the stuff off the two sides. Did y'all follow on that? So you can change. So let's do split.
What is split?
Huh?
What is split?
So I'm going to do split here. So now I'm down at the wrong spot. You see where it just rolled it in from the middle and spread it out for you? That's what split was doing. push, you notice it's going to push it in from the bottom. So if I now go live with it, you see where it's pushing them up from the bottom each time. So it gives you transitions, is giving you ways to make this thing look a little more lively than just click, 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 slide to slide. Wipe will sit there and wipe out what's on the screen and replace it with the other. There's a ton of these here, so notice we've got flash, curtains, peel off. That's one I like, because it's where you grabbed it down the bottom corner and just pulled that piece of paper off there, that sticky that was covering it all up like you're opening a bottle or whatever. So that one's always captured my mind on it. So you see where you're just grabbing on it and rolling across to the next piece of paper. So you're getting some neat, you can do some neat little effects right here, okay? That's what transitions is doing for you. So you can have fun with transitions. Airplane, if I remember right. Yeah, airplane does it neatly. Says you fold the piece of paper into a plane and throw the plane. Because watch it when I click. Y'all see on that? So we made an airplane out of the screen and then tossed that paper airplane. Okay, so like I say, that one's always been deep to me to look at. I don't know if I've ever really used it, but it's a fascinating little one.
Aren't you always glad to see modern computing put to a good use?
Mm-hmm.
All that coding work.
And think about how much time somebody at Microsoft spent doing these things, okay? But also think about the part, that was the fun part of the job for them that they got given for those couple of weeks to do that airplane effect, okay? So, as I said, you see there's a whole bunch of them, and that they call these things, notice what they've even categorized them as. Those are just subtle. Those are the ones where it just changes without doing anything special effect to it, but it pushes it up or fades in and out, etc. So those are subtle. These are exciting. Airplane is in the exciting category. And I think y'all agree, as far as this type of thing, we'd call it exciting, right? Might not be real exciting in regular life for you, but exciting as far as this. And then they've got these dynamic category ones where it does some other weird things. So let's go to Ferris wheel. Like I say, you can have fun with these. So now we'll go live. And you see what's happening. That is sitting here, that we've got a Ferris wheel sitting here and it's going around. It rolled in from there and it rolls off the bottom, coming back as it changes it, that we're sitting here on this Ferris wheel. Okay. Now, one warning on transitions. Do take in consideration the group you're talking to, that transitions may not be a real smart move with some groups. If you're talking to a group that's got some type of seizure type issues or whatever, or know somebody's in there with seizures, some of these transitions may be things to cause them to have seizure from it, okay? So keep that one in mind too, that sometimes you gotta be careful with some things, because like some of them, there is one of them in here that wants to do flashlights and stuff at you as it does it, and you got to be careful on that, so that you don't. So you just got to be aware of your audience at times. Usually not a problem on that, but still be aware of it. All right, and then back to, if we go to view, there are a number of ways you can view this thing. Not sure if they're really showing you all of this right here, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. Slide master lets you see them all and shows how exactly it sets up on that. Did I just keep myself up? Oh, okay. I'm into slide master now, and I want to get back out of slide master. So, I'll go back to view again, and I just did the undo button was what I chose to get out of there. But outline view shows you the slides over there, and then has each of your slides listed with the wording from them here on this side, and more outline instead of where you had just the slides listed down the side. Some people like to use the outline view on it. The slide sorter shows you a number of your slides all together there at the screen all at the same time in small format. If you're trying to get them into right order, slide sorter works real nicely because you got a whole group of them showing up here on the screen. So obviously we could have about 9 of them showing right now. And then you can just grab them right here and move them around just like we did over there on the side. So slide sorter I've used sometimes. Notes page, this one comes out when you want to print it, that you may well want to put it in notes page view on it before you print it. What it does is it prints the slide at the top of the page and then has a space down at the bottom boxed in for you that you can type notes into here, and that then they don't show on the slides when you're showing the slides, but you can see, have seen printed it out with your notes related to your slide. You know, so that you may have some notes down here telling you about what to say, that you've got this piece of paper in front of you and what's on the slide is different. So you can have some additional information there that you don't want to show people, but you want to remember to say to people. So this is to you as the presenter. And then reading view just basically goes into the show for it. And notice we're still in airplane mode. And the handout master, what that does is it puts them all there in small size for you to print from here for somebody, for your people to hand out a handout to them that's got all the slides, but they're just all small on how many ever pages it needs to have them on. Obviously, you can get 6 slides on a page. If you want them to have the ability to take notes, you can do the notes master, and that will print out for them the slide plus any notes you had stuck in the note area, plus it gives them space to write some notes on the bottom underneath each slide. And notice that it is putting the headers and footers on the bottoms of these pages for you. So it's got a variety of ways you can actually print these out. So it's presentation software with the object really being the main thing is for showing on the screen, but notice it's got a number of views for you to be able to print it into different looks to hand out to people too. People aren't going to just view your presentation on the screen. Some of them will be just viewed on the screen. The ones I do for the church, that's all that's done with them. We don't print them or anything. That is just up on the screen. Other presentations you may well want to print out for people and change the format of what it looks like when it prints to give them some space to take notes, etc., depending on what you're talking about. That there is chapter 1. But it says that we've made it through chapter 1. So we've actually done this week's work. So, Wednesday. And we did that in about 35 minutes. Wednesday, we've still got class. Let's make that optional for y'all. If you need some help from me, you can come to class. Obviously, you can email me also, or call me, or whatever. However, y'all have been seem to do quite well by yourselves. I got to look at the grades and stuff, but I think all of y'all are doing real well in here. As I get several of you roll your eyes at me. So maybe not all of you are doing that well, but I suspect y'all really are doing okay. Okay. If you have problems on it, contact me, but I'll be here Wednesday morning, but we've already done what's scheduled for this week. So if you want to come in and work on it Wednesday morning, you can. Or if you don't want to come in Wednesday morning, you don't have to be here. So if you're like me, where you're not a morning person and this is your first class of the day, I'm telling you on Wednesday, y'all can get an extra hour of sleep. Okay? Now if you're a morning person, that's not going to make any difference to you because you're going to be up at 4:30 a.m. anyway, going full blast. Okay?
I used to be a morning person.
But I'm a night person, so if you see me up at 4:30 in the morning, more than likely I haven't gone to bed yet. Okay? That it's not a case of I just got up, although I do that occasionally. But it's more likely I've been going solid straight on through and I need to go to bed. And just trying to get up in the morning is a harder one for me. And each one of us is different on that. So some people are morning people, some people are night people. And it helps if you don't know what you are yet. It helps if you do know, because then you can adjust your schedule around somewhat to yourself and that you know where you're going to thrive better at. So give me late afternoon, evening, and into the night. It's going to be the best time for me to be working on stuff. I'm not going to do quite as well on stuff earlier on. My preference would be not to show up at school until about now. Instead of at 8 o'clock, I would rather come at 9 or 10 o'clock. That my body is more natural on that. Because if I don't have to get up until 8, I don't have to set an alarm on it. My body will wake up by that point. And that will tend to be the other part of figuring out if you're a morning or night person. Figure out if you don't have any alarm and you don't have to be somewhere, what times your body naturally go to? Are you going to be awake at 4:30 in the morning no matter what? That if we told you you got the next day free and you can do anything, that you're laying there wide awake in bed at 4:30 in the morning, you're probably a morning person. Okay? All right, any other questions on it? Everybody follow on Wednesday. So if you need to do stuff or need the equipment here, come on and be here. But if you don't, just work on stuff from home and turn in. I intend to start categorizing stuff hopefully this week and maybe Wednesday morning. When y'all aren't here, that'll give me a chance to work on that right there. Hopefully tomorrow I can work on that some too. So I only have one class on Tuesday and Thursday. So I'm going to try to be doing that. And in 3 of my classes, I'm needing to transfer grades. One class particularly, because I haven't transferred a lot in one class, and there's 3 million grades in that class. And especially now that we're coming down to the end, because it's got to be done by the end of this month. Because I have to turn in y'all's grades like on May the 4th at 10 a.m. So everything's got to be caught by then. Y'all's last assignment is due on the 28th, which is Friday in 3 weeks. And then you got a final to do too. Okay? Which should be there from the 29th through the 2nd, although I think y'all can probably go ahead and get to it. Because the stuff seems to be pretty open. And then if you're behind in this class, you're lucky that you don't get any penalty on it. Get yourself caught up. Okay? And like I say, I suspect for most of you, PowerPoint's going to be relatively easy. And that should be one that doesn't take a whole lot of thinking back through to the process for you. And that you can get on through it. And then next Monday we'll do chapter 2. All right, I will see y'all later.